It's live knit night with the Yarn Closet. This is Laura from Tucson, Arizona, live with the Yarn Closet. And I'm sitting sort of on a chair at a table. I am Yarn Closet AZ, that's Arizona, on Instagram and Ravelry. Um, the yarncloset.com has just started, and the yarncloset at yahoo.com if you want to message me. We do monthly drawings. I also have a Yarn Closet Patreon account. If you go over there and support, you will get some extra bonus content. And once I get up to 25 subscribers on Patreon, then we are going to do 2 prize packages every month for sure. And then the next goal will be project bags included in every package. Um, who am I? Why am I doing this? Well, I don't know how the light's going. Um, First off, I'm legally blind. So, there's a lot of this squinting and close, far, whatever. And a lot of times I forget to brush my hair and stuff. Oh my God, somebody's saying hi. I think it's Dee. Hey, Dee. Yay, the sound is good. You know why it's good? Because my husband went hunting this morning and my 3-year-old is asleep and um, my son's in his room. Hey, Sheila! Oh my gosh, this is fabulous. Um, so yeah, it's almost like I'm alone and it's quiet. And my mom, um, and I swapped some furniture today because we do that. My mom lives a quarter of a mile down the way in some townhouses because this is Tucson. We used to have a pool, God, but they're crazy expensive and they take a lot of work. So now we live close to my parents because they have a pool at their complex and none of us have to maintain it, but we can use it. So that's fun. And we swap furniture back and forth because when you're housebound, you get bored pretty quick with the surroundings. So I am sitting with this little gray drop leaf, double drop leaf table. Um, and I've loved it since the day she brought it home. It's a little bit rickety, but I can have it in my little yarn closet nook and do a project on it. And then I can tuck it behind a couple of chairs in the living room section. It's fabulous. I'm so excited. But in moving some things around today and doing some stuff, I thought I would answer some questions. Okay. I get a lot of questions about the legally blind thing, and people don't understand. I am 47, 47 and a half, and I was severely premature way back then, where they stuck you in an oxygen incubator and they didn't protect your eyes, and they didn't realize that damaged your retina. So I had something called retinopathy of prematurity. But I also had ocular albinism. I also had a number of other things. Um, so when I was younger, this eye has always been really nothing. I can see light and dark areas, but very little. This eye, I had more range and better vision when I was younger, but because we didn't realize I had the ocular albinism, and we didn't realize some of my migraines were from the eyes and not other things, whatever. And we didn't realize that ocular albinism was there, and part of that is that your pathways between your eyes and your brain don't function. And it was a long and cumbersome trip to figuring out what was happening to me because people thought I was crazy. Sure, everybody knew this didn't work. But as I got older, I was a really good guesser about things. But things kept getting worse, and I kept saying, it's blurrier, I'm not seeing, I can't read the small print anymore, and my glasses aren't helping. I had genetic testing, I had specialists test me from the university. Um, Hi! Yay! We've got people everywhere. Um, and finally, we realized that the ocular albinism, for whatever reason, and maybe it had been partially to do with pregnancy, whatever, had jumped. But I was also at an age where it tends to get worse in your 30s. So, so I can see out of this eye. This eye adds some light and dark recognition. I can see like looking through a straw. The area that I see is very small. It was bigger when I was younger. Yes, I drove a car. Probably should never have done that, but I did. Um, so it's like looking through a kind of a large straw, like those thicker straws you get at McDonald's for the malts. Um, that kind of area, and it's blurry. My mom taught me to do things when I was a kid so I wouldn't look out of place, even though my eye makes me look out of place. Wearing glasses that I wore when I was a kid helped to straighten it out a little bit more. I've had surgeries, it just didn't work. But anyway, so over the time, I have figured out how to do things, and then I've had services, like I've gone to training for people who lose their sight to learn about stuff. I've taken a lot of classes online through a place called Hadley. It's a school, correspondence and online, that kind of thing. And it's a great resource for friends and family too of people who are losing their vision. And like I've said before, a lot of elderly people lose their vision and they don't talk about it. It's the one they never talk about because they feel that the word blind or legally blind would scare their family into losing their independence. I have been this way raising two children. I've been this way as a single mom. I've been this way working, not working. You just, if you're motivated, you do it and you figure it out. And I still think marriage is harder, way harder, because there's another person to work into that equation. Way harder. So how do I do it? This is an OttLite. It's one of those things I talk about. You don't have to use the magnifier. It can just be a desk lamp, and they're really fabulous. They're the LED. I think they're definitely the high daylight thingy ding. But so I will use it on the table and I will set it up. This is darker yarn, and so on any given day that I'm not feeling great visually, it might be harder to do. It's taking me a really long time to work on this. So I can set it up and sit here, and with the light and the magnifier, I can comfortably and easily work on it. It's just that little extra bonus. I gave a lamp like this to my mom that is a floor lamp that you can sit next to any kind of chair. The light in it is not as wonderful, but it's way less expensive, and it's got a bigger chunk, so that's easy for reading, like an open book, magazine, even putting a phone underneath it. One of the things that affects, and different eye disorders, and I wasn't even planning to go here, I was just going to knit my sweater and talk about how I work on dark yarn, and now we're here. But we're live and there's some people watching. So I have one of these because sometimes I just need that extra light right here, this boom, right? And you can really work these things. There's all different styles of these, so you can get it just exactly where you need it. And And then I have one of these. I think it came with a base, but I liked the clip, so I just used the clip. And it's a less expensive one that uses batteries. The OttLite plugs in. It's very similar, but there's not as much light. Where the Ott, it's got light all the way around, so you get really good light. This is just a slam of light here, but it's also something I can do. So I can throw this in a bag too if I'm going somewhere, and I can clip it to the table at Starbucks or whatever to work. Portability is key, especially with the elderly who may live in like a 55 plus. Those are really popular here. And oh, Dee, you love the OttLites too? I love the OttLites. They're fabulous. Um, but the portability of this lesser expensive, this was not even $20 on Amazon, in my bag for an elderly person who may live in a community where they leave their apartment and maybe go to a dining room to sit and chat. Oh, you stinker, you have a cardigan. I can't believe it, Sheila. So that's really neat for the portability when they're going to be working in some place that maybe isn't just their space. And nobody's getting any younger. At my last job, they loved that all my emails were in this big font and that all my printouts were in big font. And they started to talk about, well, why don't we do that? Because it's just easier. We all spend so much time with screens nowadays. Everybody has eye fatigue. Print your stuff in a bigger font. Use a bigger font in your email. Use a bigger font in your texting. Um, there's accessibility functions on your phones where you know how you can talk to it and it'll type for you? That came from us. That came from my people, the blind world. But there's also a thing, if you click on the accessibility, where you can hit the button and it'll talk the text to you. I don't recommend that if you don't have earbuds and you have, racy friends. But I'll have my earbuds or whatever, and I'll have it read the text back to me, and then I'll talk in the text and it will read it back to me. And that's a way I function for a lot of things on my laptop as well. But those are a couple of the things, and I thought about that today because I got this great little table thing from my mom, so I was able to set it up and spread out because my husband will be gone for a few days. And I had another blip in the dang sweater for Lion Brand. It's a Lion Brand raglan cardigan, and I love it, and I'm gonna love it. It's just taking a lot of commitment, and so I'm hopefully gonna slam out a little bit more in the next week while he's gone. And bye, 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 bye. The other thing I wanted to say is I wanted to talk about Growly Bear, my little sponsor. I have recently switched over to this lavender and tea tree oil. She also has underarm. I think there's an unscented as well, I'm not sure. But I'm switching over on a lot of my products because of my sensitive skin and also my daughter's. And I believe that aluminum is starting to be a problem because I've noticed with certain lotions that have it in them, and with the sunscreens that have the aluminum in the sunscreen component, I react really badly to it, and so does she. So I was talking to a friend. I actually had a nice lunch the other day, and we were talking about different things, and it really motivated me to look into that more and now to switch and be a little bit more natural and conscientious about that. I think everybody's body has like the magic amount. Okay, so everybody's got their little bucket, and that's their body, and it's all the little irritants that your body can deal with. So my bucket might be this big. My daughter's bucket is this big. She can only deal with so many irritants, and if you throw too many at her at once, everything will just start driving her nuts. Um, and now that she's got those guinea pigs, she's not allergic to the hay, but there's more dust because of the hay, and they're in her room. At some point, I would like to have them in the house with just lids so the dogs can't get at them, but I think if they were motivated enough, they still would. So that's why we keep them in the rooms. Yay, Growly Bear! So that's my shout out to Growly Bear. Love that there's no aluminum, there's no crazy chemicals, it's all natural. I can read, pronounce, and understand what it is. And in some ways, I think it works better, way better. I have a lot of different balms and things, especially with the toothier yarns that I use. And because I'm in Tucson, it's scary dry. I mean, it's cold and rainy today, and yet the humidity in my house is still quite low. So that's my 2 cents. That's my little deal. And you'd just be surprised at how much it can perk you up to put your chairs at a little angle and move some stuff around in your room, and a few little tweaks today in the house after he left, because last year, every time he left, I would make like a major change. Like one time he left, and this was our tiny little dining room. And we had a sitting area off the kitchen. He left and I swapped him out. Oh my God, I don't even know how I did it. I had to push one piece of furniture through the hole in the wall bar that we have between the kitchen and this little space. I'm still not sure how I did it. And at one point, trying to get stuff outside, my neighbor came over to help me because I donated stuff too while he was gone. And so now I don't do such major crazy things, but little tweaks here and there, and they're fun and they're exciting. And when you're housebound, that can mean something. I mean, he went somewhere a couple weeks ago, camping with his brother. I took the curtains that were in our living room, and because there's 4 curtains, so I put 2 of them at the sliding glass door in our kitchen and 2 of them in our bedroom because they were darker than what was in our bedroom. So now, I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? So now my living room curtains are actually 3 different curtains. I have these tan ones on the outside, then these funky ones that are the same as the Fat Squirrel's house, because I love them. They're at Target. I'm going to get the orange ones someday for my bedroom. And then I have white shears in the middle. Just because I hate my couch. I hate it. It was the first big purchase after we got married. It was the couch she wanted, the manly sectional, where the cushions don't stay every time someone sits on it, and it just bugs me, and I hate it. It's too big. I hate it. But at the time we had his 6'10" son living with us, and it was the only thing that if he fell asleep on it that he could fit on. I want a smaller, regular couch with no L shape. So someday. And making those little tweaks, I mean, it took him days before he even noticed. Let's be real. How many of our husbands or people we live with will actually notice if we moved some end tables around, chairs, pillows, curtains? They won't. They won't. So do it. That's what I say, do it. But my son is off having his evening snack. He's having popcorn and crispy bacon and milk. And I am having low power mode on my phone, so I'm going to have to go pretty quickly. But I'm going to work at my little backwards knitting row, my purl bump row. Do you guys do this? How many of you are continentals? It took figuring out continental before I could actually knit. And so I love the fact that I can backwards knit with continental. Yep. I'm not fast at this part of it. I think I'm reasonably fast and consistent um, with with most weights of yarn. When I did the really chunky sweater, I was not consistent because the needles were a challenge, and I just wasn't used to working with that much bulk. Um, and I'd say I am pretty consistent. I've noticed that I can stay pretty consistent also when I have to like bind off and do a front or a back section flat and then pick back up again in the round. I don't really notice it that much. Your English thrower. If I wasn't continental, that's what I would be. I actually like the Shetland people who wear the knitting belts and use the really long needles. Because when I first started doing it, all I had were some really long straights, and I couldn't hold them because they were so heavy. So I had to hold it to my body and use that. But I am just very, very excited that people are enjoying the sock tubes, the hat tubes. I sent a package off to Nikita. Oh, Malaysia's not any more expensive than anywhere else. Um, I wish I knew what the weather was like there. And funny thing is, my electric scooter, my mobility cart that I use, my two-seater, is a three-wheel, and it's taken, the woman who created them is from the Philippines and talked about time growing up and travels throughout that area of the globe where they used a lot of different vehicles similar to what I now drive that she created here. And yeah. No, the thing I love about having taken over this little dining room niche is that I do crochet and I crochet way faster. I don't do really elaborate crochet patterns, um, but I can't crochet fingering weight because if I was going to crochet a sweater for myself, I would want it to be fingering weight. I want it to be really light because those stitches are thicker. And I can't feel the stitches in the fingering weight. So that's what I do. I don't know what else I was going to say. Something. I don't know. Well, we've been on here for over 20 minutes. I was only going to make this short. Thank you to the Patreon people. Check it out. Spread the word. Check out the website. I will just be adding pages to that and information. I'm going to try and highlight some patterns, patterns that I think are written well and easy to do, because I love easy and fast, and other tidbitty things. So I'm going to try to have fun with that web website, theyarncloset.com. And there is a function there where you can send me comments through that as well. And at some point, there will also be a store portion where you can purchase cranked hat tubes or sock tubes. But not now, someday in the future. That's in the back of my head. And you are such a stinker. $1 goes a long way. And I love the community that we have. I love the people that, even though they're housebound, even though they're ill, they're offline for longer periods of time because of it, but then they come back. And they come back to me. You can't even imagine what that feels like when for 10, 12 years I didn't know this was a resource for friendships, this online business, and I was so housebound and really down about not being able to make friends. And now I have all of you friends out there and people who, when you have your energy and your time, you come and spend it with me. And that's a real blessing. So I hope we all look with our hearts first, and I love